Today, we have all sorts of time-saving gadgets at our disposal. The car, the phone, the mobile and the computer. And yet at work, our time seems even more limited than it ever was. Time is one commodity you can never have enough of. No matter how wealthy or struggling we are, we're all allotted the very same 24 hours per day. But some people seem to cram so much more into their 24 hours than the rest of us. Because our time is so limited, it's essential to become an effective manager of our time. But how do we do that? Effective time management is a matter of understanding the demands on your time, organizing your time, prioritizing your work, and guarding against time bandits. Where does the time go? Many people ask. Good question. Do you know where your time goes? How do you spend your time at work? The first step in organizing your time is to find out what you're currently doing with your time. Track your time for a week or so and find out what's really taking up your time. Be ready to be surprised. You'd be amazed by how much time you actually have for work and how much time is taken up chatting to colleagues, taking phone calls, answering emails, and attending meetings. It's one of the great secrets of time that not much of it is actually yours. That's why it's so important to use your time well. Every working day, there are countless activities we're required to do that take up time. Lots of it. And this applies whatever industry we're in, or whether we're the CEO or the broom wrangler. When you subtract all the time we spend on phone calls, meetings and keeping up with colleagues, as well as lunch breaks and morning tea, there's not much left. The time that is left is called discretionary time. It's the time that you can devote to the work you have to do. It's the time to plan, to write reports, and to get things done. Knowing how much time is yours, or how little, is a key step in effective time management. It's clear that you must make as much use as possible out of this time. So how can we make best use of our precious time? Your time log has shown you how much of your time is taken up by routine elements of your work. Meetings, emails, phone calls, discussions with colleagues, and crises eat into your time. All these tasks are important and you can't eliminate them. However, you can manage them to ensure that this isn't all you accomplish. An especially valuable tool for organizing your time is the diary. We all know about the humble diary, but how many of us use our diaries effectively to manage our time? The diary is such an excellent tool for managing your time. It's used by virtually every executive who is serious about managing their time effectively. It doesn't really matter if it's an old-fashioned paper number or a computer variant. The key thing is that it allows you to plan your time over the coming days, setting aside time for key tasks and guarding your time against time stealers. The first use of a diary is to map out those regular activities we're all called upon to do at work. Things like meetings, weekly conferences, and so on. Set aside some time each day for all the routine tasks you have to perform, like reading and responding to emails. Mark out half an hour when you arrive at work, 15 minutes after lunch, and 15 before you leave for the day for this activity, for example. The blank spaces in your diary represent the time you have left after doing all the routine work. This is your discretionary time, the time you have available to perform the key work you're employed to do. You need to manage this time as well. For some tasks, it's most effective if you block out a decent chunk of time. Writing a report, for example, is better done if you take half a day in a single chunk instead of 10 minutes here and there. The small slivers of time, say between an important meeting and lunch, can be used for smaller tasks that don't require a lot of pondering. Work out when you're at your most productive. For some, it's first thing in the working day. For others, it's after 5 when the phone stops ringing. Make sure you assign yourself the most important work at this time. You may choose to make yourself completely unavailable for some part of the day to work on important tasks, even removing yourself from the workplace if that's necessary. So, what do you do with your discretionary time? Well, as we've discovered, there's not much of it. It's crucial that you spend this time to maximum effect. Write down all the tasks you have to perform. Don't worry about the order for the moment, just get everything down. This list will become your daily list, the cornerstone of every time management system. You don't have to make a big deal of it. In fact, the simpler the better. Write down a list of all the things you need to do. This list is the basis for directing your work. Begin working on the most important item on the list that you need to do. Try and complete that task before beginning the next one. Work down the list, starting on the most important task. Manage your list of things to do. It should be the first item of business to begin the day. You can work on this list with the supervisor to reach agreement on the tasks to be completed. The daily list has a number of advantages. One is that it's a reference point throughout your day. When you're tired or your head is cloudy after lunch, your list will get you back on track. Another advantage of the list is that you can derive considerable satisfaction from crossing off the items. Take time to reward yourself for a job well done. It's also a good indicator of that time management enemy, procrastination. If you find that an item on your list reappears day after day, it's a sure sign that you're procrastinating. Take a good long look at this task. Ask yourself, what's the problem? Why don't I want to do it? The daily list is also a good indicator of trying to do too many things at one time. With so many things to do, you need to work out which ones are the most important and do those first. There are always more tasks to be done than time to do them. That's a given, with the limited time at your disposal. No matter how fast or effectively you work, with so little time at your disposal, you're going to end up with tasks not completed. So it's vital to devote what time you have to the tasks that are the most important. This sounds simple, but in fact, working out which tasks to do first is the key to effective time management. You may have heard of the 80-20 rule. An Italian named Burrito discovered that 80% of income tends to come from only 20% of your clients. It's been found that this rule holds no matter what business or occupation you're in. It follows then that for any list of 10 tasks you have to accomplish, 2 of them will generate 80% of your success. But which 2? It's clear that your priorities are determined by what results you want to achieve. Put your daily list aside for a moment and write down your key goals. What are you there for to achieve? What are you paid to do? Now look at your daily list again. Can you see which tasks directly relate to what you want to achieve and which have less relevance? Setting priorities is a useful task to do with your supervisor. They'll be able to assist you in determining your goals and what you need to achieve. Keep your goals handy. It's worth taking a look at them every now and again to remind yourself why you're where you are. Your diary, daily list and set of goals work together to ensure that your work is on track. You'll find your work more focused and more organized. You'll be making the most productive use of your time. As we've seen, no matter how organized you are, there are plenty of events at work that try to rob you of your time. You need to develop techniques for guarding your time from these thieves. Your time audit provides you with a good idea of what your personal time bandits are. Some common time wasters are interruptions, crises, and meetings. As long as you're surrounded by human beings, you'll never eliminate interruptions entirely. Everyone needs to spend some time talking to colleagues and supervisors to keep up. But there are techniques for limiting how much time these activities gobble up. Your main goal is to limit the time spent on interruptions while remaining civil. These key phrases are effective. Can we discuss this at the meeting next week? I'm chasing a deadline right now. Can we schedule a time to discuss this later? I'd love to chat, but unfortunately, I don't have time. The phone is a key tool that saves us time, but it can also be a prime interruption to your work. One useful tactic is to make yourself unavailable by phone except for certain times of the day. At other times, people can leave messages. If you use this technique, it's important that you return calls promptly. Otherwise, people will turn up at your door to get through to you. Set yourself a target every time you pick up the phone. Assign a time for the call, say 5 minutes. Keep an eye on the clock as the call takes place. Make sure the tone in your voice indicates that you are busy and don't have time for an extended chat. Practice ways of terminating a call. Effective phrases include, "I need to dash now, I've got a meeting," or "I need to go, but I'll talk to you later." Meetings are often accused of wasting large amounts of time, and they often do. But this is usually because the meeting is badly run. Before the meeting commences, appoint someone to chair it. Even if it's an informal meeting, it's essential to appoint one person to run it. Also, appoint someone else to take minutes. Secondly, agree on a time limit for the meeting. It's up to the chair to make sure this limit is adhered to. Thirdly, write down all the agenda items to be covered by the meeting. Only take other business if you finish the meeting ahead of schedule. The chair should make sure the most important items on the agenda are discussed first. It may be useful to assign time limits on each item on the agenda. If you do, stick to them. At the end of the meeting, get the secretary to write up the minutes and circulate them to everybody who attended. This will ensure that you don't have the same meeting many times over. A well-run meeting can save time, not waste it. Make sure all the meetings you attend are well run. If you're attending a meeting that's going over time, it may be useful to excuse yourself or suggest the meeting is rescheduled. Congratulations! You've learnt a number of techniques to manage your time more effectively. In this program, we've seen how to work out where your time goes, organise your time, prioritise your work, and guard your time against time thieves. Time management requires constant scrutiny. It's hard to get it perfect. It is a process of trying to achieve an impossible goal and maybe becoming excellent at it. But the good thing about time is that you can't waste it in advance. Tomorrow is a new day, an opportunity to work on your essential tasks and make a difference. Tomorrow, you have exactly the same amount of time as Bill Gates or Rupert Murdoch. And you probably have fewer items on your daily to-do list than either of them. So, make the most of it.